If you like doozies, we've got one for you here at Wayzata High School. It's February, and that means every team is trying to build up the resume for that coveted section and state tournament seeding. We've got the Wayzata Trojans, number 2 team in Class 4A, against the Park Center Pirates, a team that hasn't lost in almost 2 months. A combined 3 losses between the two teams. A lot of talent. You've got the experience of Wayzata and the youth of Park Center. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Peden, joined by Alex Nagel. And Alex, let's talk about the contrast between these two teams. Wayzata brings back everyone from last year's team. They were upset by Minneapolis South in the section semifinals. This year, they're on a mission.
They really are, Mike. I was at their game last Friday night at Hopkins, and that was one of the best games I've ever seen. The thing that impressed me about Wayzata when I look at this team this year compared to last year is how much more poised and how much more experienced they are. That experience really came through last Friday night, and they had that game, I thought, at one point. It was just, I think in that game, Mike, it was just that Hopkins was one possession better. But really, I don't, from a Wayzata standpoint, I don't think there was anything for them to hang their head about.
And no reason to hang their heads with athletes like Kallie, Theisen, who's going to South Dakota State, and Mimi Schrader, who's headed off to Navy, Jenna Johnson. This is a deep, balanced team.
They really are. They've got great players at each position, and they're very versatile as well, Mike.
And speaking of greatness and talent, Park Center has plenty of it. They're building on that young core from a year ago. And Adalia McKenzie, what a sophomore season she's having. She's in the top 10 in scoring, a bunch of 30-point games. She's coming off 42 in a win over Coon Rapids. And a lot of folks thought this Park Center team, maybe their best days were behind them after all the changes within the last couple of years. Here they are once again.
Yeah, they really are. You talk about it, Adalia McKenzie. She just recorded her 1,000th point on Tuesday night against Coon Rapids, and that was quite a thrill for all the Park Center contingent there that night. And you talk about youth. I mean, this Park Center team really has it, but they've been on a roll as of late. When they get their up-tempo offense going with a pressure defense, a lot of good things can happen for them.
And there are plenty of scores. You'll see McKenzie, of course, Tanae Griffin, someone else to keep an eye on. These two teams had an overtime thriller a year ago. Will we get that again? Stick around to find out. If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, Patreon is the place. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage. A fine rendition of the Star Spangled Banner, and if you didn't hear the public address announcer, that included a couple of senior captains from the Wayzata Trojans. Well,
great singers and basketball players, too.
Well, as I like to say, do it all. You're only in high school one time.
Exactly.
Now, I know you were really looking forward to this game, and I think ever since last year's epic thriller that went to overtime, everyone was circling this date on the calendar.
Well, yeah, I think you're exactly right, Mike, and I think that's very true from a Park Center perspective. They had that game, and they let it go in the last few minutes and got away from them in overtime. And I think this team, even though they're still incredibly young, they've got a year of experience under their belt now. I think they're better at handling these types of situations than what they were a year ago.
Well, take a look at this. Park Center 18-2, a 17-game winning streak. Wayzata hoping to build another one. They're 19-1, a combined 3 losses between these two teams. If that doesn't tell you how great this match is going to be, I don't know what will.
You know, I got to speak with head coach Mike Schumacher of Wayzata here a little bit ago, and I asked him quickly, what was it that you guys took away from last week's game with Hopkins that wound up in such a disappointing loss? And he said basically it just boiled down to 2 things. Number 1, we've got to take care of the ball better. And number 2, we didn't do a very good job of guarding Paige Beckers. Now, when you translate that into tonight's matchup against Park Center, they've got another superstar in the making in Adalia McKenzie. And I think it's going to be very key, Mike, for Wayzata to be able to at least somehow try and contain Adalia McKenzie. I mean, you're not going to completely stop her, but you can't let her get off and get her into transition several times where she can get easy points.
Let's take a look at the starters now that they've been introduced for the visiting Park Center Pirates. It's Adalia Regulin, Lauren Frost, Kayla Cox, Tanae Griffin, and Adalia McKenzie. As we noted, a 1,000-point score. Wayzata, it will be Kallie Theisen, Jenna Johnson, Mara Braun, Annika Stewart, and Mimi Schrader. And in the open, we talked about Theisen and Johnson. Mimi Schrader going to Navy, doesn't score a lot, but it seems in clutch situations she steps up.
Yep.
She hit a bunch of key free throws last year in that overtime win against Park Center, and she came up big in Wayzata's overtime win over Stillwater back in December.
I'll tell you another player on the Wayzata side you need to keep your eye on tonight, Mike, is freshman Mara Braun. In the game last Friday night at Hopkins, she came out hot. She had 2 big three-pointers and put the Trojans in a very good situation early on, helping to get a big lead early on.
As we noted, this Wayzata team, highly balanced. They don't have any big scores, but they all can step up. We're underway. Wayzata wearing the blue, and on the fast break off the opening tip, Jenna Johnson. She leads the team at 15.9, but take a look at this. 15.9 for Johnson. Kallie Theisen, 14.7 a game. There's Johnson. Almost got the steal, but she gets the foul call. Annika Stewart, 12.2. Mara Braun, 10.3. And Park Center also having 4 double-digit scores. McKenzie, 28.9. Tanae Griffin, 13.6. Lauren Frost, 13.1. And Adalia Regulin, 10.6. So neither team one-trick ponies. That's going to make it a lot of fun.
No. I'm looking for a big game tonight from Lauren Frost for Park Center.
With the turnaround and converting is Annika Stewart. The one contrast on offense for Wayzata, nobody has scored more than 25, and as we noted in the open, Adalia McKenzie, a bevy of 30-point games. Tanae Griffin with the drive, and she lost the handle. As you noted last year, Park Center, they were up by 4 with under a minute to play, and Wayzata and that experience got to them. Free throw shooting also made a difference. Park Center not as sharp from the charity stripe as Wayzata was.
That's still been an issue for the Pirates this season at times, Mike.
Schrader through the hole, no good. Rebound, put back for Kallie Theisen.
And just like last Friday night, a great start for the Trojans.
Theisen with the steal. Here's Mara Braun. Trojans up 6-0 early. Annika Stewart makes some space for herself down low, and the Trojans are up 8-0. It's senior night and youth night. Last night was going to be youth night against Chaska, but due to inclement weather, the Chaska game was postponed for a second time. And Barb Metcalf calling a quick timeout. Park Center looking out of sorts here in the opening minutes.
Yeah, Wayzata's done a very good job of making this a half-court game, something that's not to the liking of the Pirates. They've got to take care of the ball better too, Mike.
Speaking of the Pirates, 17-game winning streak. Their last loss, December 4th against St. Michael Albertville. Since then, all W's, and they've come against some high-quality teams. Robbinsdale Armstrong, they won convincingly in the first meeting. Armstrong, a big turnaround after last year. A big one over Lakeville North. That 99-95 classic with Prior Lake with McKenna Hofschild.
I was at
dropped
that
down
one too.
63. And a big one over Centennial, so EP and STMA, the only 2 teams they've lost to. The STMA game, just a 1-point loss. This Park Center team, a lot more cohesive than a year ago. But Wayzata in rhythm at the moment. Park Center tried to get the entry pass. They could not, and that leaves Jenna Johnson open for the layup. A 10-0 run to start the game for Wayzata. Frost for 3. That's short. And that might be the first time Park Center got a shot off.
Yeah, it is.
Big crowd on hand for this one, and we'd like to welcome all of you watching this on YouTube and on TV through our arrangement with CCX Media. Big game tonight. Theisen drew the foul and will go against Griffin. Kallie Theisen, as we noted, 14.7 points per game. One of 5 starters, in other words, all of them, that made all-conference last year. So you got a starting 5 that were all-conference winners.
Jeez.
Theisen missing both free throws. That doesn't happen often. Jenna Johnson finds Theisen. Got it. (12-0). McKenzie no good. She picked up that foul, by the way, earlier. A rough start for Adalia McKenzie. And Wayzata running on all cylinders. Mara Braun scores. As you noted, though, Wayzata got an early jump on Hopkins last Friday.
They did.
Before the Royals rallied back. Park Center tries to go back door. Jenna Johnson says, I don't think so. This Wayzata team, we all knew of their potential last year, but as if we needed another reminder, they won the Breakdown State Championship in the summer, beating St. Michael Albertville to do it. Long skip. There's Jasmine Smiley, number 23. She sees a lot of time. And Wayzata is seeing a lot of time.
Park Center is so used to being able to get those steals like we just saw down there on the other end. So far, they haven't been able to get any of those.
I haven't seen an opening run like this since Como Park Southwest 3 years ago. There's a steal you were talking about, but it goes right into Wayzata's hands. They could turn another broken play into a pair, and they do just that. This is insane. McKenzie can't break this run. We're 4:15, and the Trojans are up 18-0. This reminds me of Stillwater St. Louis Park. You and I called that one back in November, where the Ponies got on a 29-2 run to start the game.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about.
I think it's going to be important for Park Center to have somebody else step up besides Adalia McKenzie. She's going to get her points tonight, but they got to have somebody like Lauren Frost or Kayla Cox step up, raise the level of their game to take some of the pressure off McKenzie.
The problem is nobody from Park Center can find their shot, and just about everything for Wayzata is going in as Mara Braun knocks down the triple. Before you get somebody involved, they got to find a way to get buckets. McKenzie missing the 3. As we said in the open, this Wayzata team, ever since that upset loss to South in section semi-play, they've been on a mission.
Now here's a transition opportunity that's snuffed out.
And Wayzata will go on one of their own. And that might have been a frustration foul on Tanae Griffin. And Barr Metcalf will have to burn another timeout. 12:39 to go. It's not often you see a start like this.
No, I don't think anybody was expecting Wayzata to jump out to a 3-touchdown lead.
One thing's for sure, We already have more points than Super Bowl 53.
Yeah.
I think anything will have more points than Super Bowl 53.
I think my cold is probably a byproduct of this last Sunday's utter disappointment.
Speaking of Wayzata, just one loss that came against Hopkins. Everyone expects the Trojans and the Royals to have an epic clash in Section 6 for the right to go to state. The second meeting between those two is February 22nd. The first meeting was a close one, came down to one possession. But Wayzata, with a couple of exceptions, have run over just about everybody. They are not fooling around. They've scored 90 on a couple of occasions.
And they certainly have shown no ill effects from the layoff since this last Saturday.
Well, let's talk about that. Not a lot of time to practice or play with all of the rescheduling, the postponements, cancellations as Annika Stewart goes to the line. Remember, this team, both teams were scheduled to play a back-to-back. Park Center and Maple Grove, that got canceled. Wayzata and Chaska got rescheduled again. The cold weather, the snowy weather has wreaked havoc on just about everybody in the state.
Yeah.
Park
Nice
Center
move by
finally
Kayla Cox.
gets on the board. Kayla Cox to the line. And it only took them 5 minutes and 36 seconds to do it. But as you know, basketball, a game of runs and how you withstand them. Kayla Cox converts the three-point play.
Nia Rubin has stepped in to the lineup now for Park Center as well.
Three on the way. Does not drop. The rebound goes into the hands of McKenzie. She streaks her way through and completes the reverse.
And that's what Park Center does best. And there's McKenzie again.
McKenzie almost lost the handle. Park Center hangs on to it, and Cox draws the blocking foul on number 12, Olivia Arnbeck.
Well, it took about 6.5 minutes, but looks like the Pirates have finally shaken off the rust.
Rebound going to Annika Stewart. Trojans looking to push. Cox with the deflection, and Theisen fouled by McKenzie. That will be the first. Kallie Theisen, a member of the Link Crew, a selected group of students who provide mentoring to Wayzata High School freshmen. And last month, they took part in the annual Feed My Starving Children project. Something this team has done for the last several years.
Chloe Singh now into the Park Center lineup. Sophomore is beginning more quality minutes.
And if you're wondering how Wayzata is when it comes to studies, last year their team GPA was 3.803.
That's pretty darn good.
That was enough to get an Academic Gold Award winner. Theisen makes both free throws. Three ball, corner pocket for Kayla Cox. Like you said, getting some other folks involved. And for Park Center, you just got to get one stop at a time. You don't need to get all 17 points back in one fell swoop. 17-footer does not drop for Braun. The rebound is chased down and picked up by Chloe Sink. Got to be careful, and Park Center throws it away. Those long skip passes, you got to be mindful of those. And for Park Center, what you can't do right now is cough up the ball.
Yep.
When you trailed by as much as 23. High-low, inside to Johnson, you bet. Jenna Johnson up to 8, Kallie Theisen up to 8.
Wayzata did a very good job of that last Friday night against Hopkins.
3 on the way. That's long from Anaya Rubin. Anaya, the daughter of a former Mr. Basketball Minnesota. That would be Derek Rubin, if you're not familiar with the name. He went to Minneapolis North, won Mr. Basketball back in 1988.
Wow.
And for over 20 years was the man behind the Intercity All-Star Classic, an event that was designed to get some kids that may have been passed up a chance to play in an All-Star game. Kallie Theisen lost the dribble. It's picked up by McKenzie. Feeds to Nate Griffin in transition, and like you said, this is what Park Center thrives on.
Yep.
Wayzata scoring with impunity down low. Jenna Johnson up to 10. .950 left in the first half. Wayzata up 29-10. As we've seen, though, this Wayzata team not afraid to put up points. Park Center in trouble, and they got lucky there. Wayzata averaging 71.4. Not as much as the blistering pace Hopkins is putting up, 85.1 a game.
Ugh.
I have to imagine tomorrow's game with La Crosse Aquinas is going to be a shootout.
Now that's a smart play by Adalia McKenzie. She knew she had the favorable setup there to drive into the lane, get the contact, and get the charity strike.
And this Park Center team can light up the scoreboard as well. 76.7, the highest scoring team in Section 5. Contrast that with Roseville.
Yeah.
And we were speaking of Wayzata and Hopkins in Section 6 as McKenzie goes to the line, gets the friendly roll. Park Center and Roseville look like they'll be facing off. They met last year in the semis, and they could meet this year in the final. Centennial may play the sleeper, but how about...
Never count out Centennial.
But how about Park Center's growth from last year to this year? Last year we saw glimpses. This year,
yeah,
I think we got a reminder that even though the likes of Michaela Hayes and Ann Simonet have all graduated, and Chris Vanderhyde, who was the coach for 4 years, this Park Center team, they're not going anywhere. McKenzie read the backdoor play and slammed the door shut. Now Park Center looking to run. Cox can't finish. Johnson with the rebound. Wayzata leaks out. Mara Braun with the bucket. Regulin. Runner does not drop. Rebound, Jenna Johnson. There's Mimi Schrader. Theisen on Cox. Looking to get that spin move on her. Gets her own miss. A lot of contact, but we play on. A lot of contact, although now that I have a chance to look at it, it didn't seem intentional. How about that?
Great job by Kayla Cox snaring that steal. And here's another one.
Well, Regulin, she's missed a couple, but she's getting after it on defense.
They just can't get a shot to go down.
And that has been the difference thus far. One of the big games tonight, perhaps the biggest on the calendar, as Mimi Schrader gets a little push off on Regulin. A couple of Park Center players trip up. McKenzie one-on-one. No good.
Park Center are really struggling.
Wayzata isn't.
As is my voice right now.
Griffin coughs it up. Schrader finds Theisen. Theisen, a future Jackrabbit. Jenna Johnson. Johnson just a sophomore. Theisen barreling her way in. They will give her continuation.
Well, when it rains, it pours, Mike.
Or up here, when it snows. I think snow would be more appropriate. When it snows, it's a blizzard. Park Center, it's not like they haven't been in close games or have played
Yeah.
some top teams here. As they burn another timeout, they only will have 2 left. But Wayzata not fooling around, and it helps when you go on the run they did to start this one.
And I think for Park Center, given the games that they play here in the last few weeks, I think it's important that they start playing some top-notch competition as they inch closer and closer to section play.
Kallie Theisen will shoot her free throw in a minute. Her nicknames are Cal and KJ. Her favorite movie, Riverdale? I thought that was a TV show. Her favorite candy is Kit Kats. Her biggest influence was her father, who coached her since 2nd grade. Her father, Ken, running the Crossfire Theisen AAU program. And she has to chew gum during warm-ups and have a handshake with Ella Schrader, one of the other seniors, after the national anthem. That is her pregame ritual. Always fun to read those. Kallie Theisen will also take part in the All-Star Series on April 13th. Mimi Schrader also got an invite. Sarah Scalia will be there. That's going to be a fun one if you can make the trek down to Carlton in a couple of months.
It's always fun.
Hopefully I'll have a chance to do it. Not sure about that yet, but Kallie Theisen, the only thing that hasn't worked in her favor is the free throws. Everything else, gold. And then a walk on Tanae Griffin. Mistakes are compounding on themselves here for Park Center. I can assure you, Park Center, they're a top 10 team. And there's McKenzie again. She's got wide open lane to the bucket. And that's what Park Center's got to do. You can't get too down on yourself. Stay with it. And don't get frustrated by this margin here.
I think the goal for Park Center right now has to try to be getting this thing down between 20 and 15 points.
Not easy to do, though, with Wayzata getting that inside penetration. Arnbeck converting the high-low play. 37-13. And as we noted, this Wayzata team, they can run up the score. 3 on the way. Does not drop for Regulin. Frost with the O-board. Too far underneath. Wayzata and Hopkins and Stillwater out in the Suburban East. 3 teams that would smash the trope about suburban teams not playing with any athleticism. When you look at the number of points they all have put up. And Park Center just looking all out of sorts here.
One of the things that I think...
Smiley for 3. Bullseye!
Wow. One of the things that I think is bothering Park Center, even when they get into transition, is dealing with the length that Wayzata has. They haven't really faced a team with the kind of length, and, certainly within the last month and a half that Wayzata has.
And it doesn't help when you can't get a shot to fall.
Yeah.
No matter who you're playing. But as I was saying, you look at Wayzata, you look at Hopkins, you look at Stillwater, and longtime fans, they may think of those suburban teams as fundamentally sound but not athletic. They don't have agility. We're seeing plenty of examples that say you don't have to go to Minneapolis, St. Paul to watch some fine basketball. The talent, it's spreading.
Oh yeah.
Long 3. Luku's there for the rebound and the cleanup. It's Kallie Theisen and Wayzata putting on a clinic. We're 6 points away from the mercy rule threshold. Cox for 3, I think. Stewart had a piece of it. Wayzata couldn't get the transition play down. McKenzie pulls up, swish. Theisen through the hole, and she'll shoot 2. Did you expect a score like this in your first visit to Wayzata?
No. That's a second foul on Adalia McKenzie.
Foul trouble is the least of Park Center's worries at the moment. Theisen, back to the line she goes. Her favorite candy is Kit Kats, and her favorite quote comes from her Navy-bound teammate, Feed the Beast. And I believe she's 2 of 7 for the free throw line. On the other end, Lauren Frost gets her first bucket. And she clapped her hands. I think Park Center relieved to see some shots go in their favor. Schrader, or that's Smiley, who can't knock down the baseline J. Rebound, put back, Annika Stewart.
If you're Park Center, you have to do a better job boxing out. You cannot give Wayzata those second and third chances.
You mentioned being on hand for Wayzata Hopkins last week. I talked with Michael Schumacher, the head coach. He noted, as Cox fires the 3, no good, he noted that there was a bigger crowd for the girls' game than there was for the boys.
Yeah, there was.
There was about 4,000 in all who watched that doubleheader.
It was standing room only. I know, because I had to stand.
And on that point, to anyone who believes or still thinks that women's basketball isn't worth watching, Mike Schumacher said, you guys are fools.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent out here.
Oh, there is. There really is.
A little bit of confusion on that set play for the Pirates. And then they throw it away. I'm not sure what the halftime speech is going to be if you're Bar Metcalf, but
well, I think you just got to be a little more.
They're in quite a pickle.
A little more sound fundamentally. Take better care of the basketball.
Wayzata able to hang on to it. Johnson feeds a wide open Schrader. She can't hit the 3. Jump ball, Park Center with the arrow. 2:54 left in the first half. (44-17). And I have to imagine the rematch with the late conference doing doubleheaders this year in conference play. I have to imagine the rematch on February 22nd, the last game of the regular season, will draw just as big a crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And Wayzata, they've got some space to do it. McKenzie can't knock down the 15-footer. Schrader feeding Stewart. Johnson, the long skip to Braun for 3. Off the heel, Tanae Griffin with the board. And she's fouled by Jenna Johnson. Wayzata still with 2 to give. Regulin out to Griffin for 3. No good. Theisen with the rebound. Wayzata looking to run in transition again. Stewart, the 3rd starter to break double digits. Griffin, blocked from behind by Stewart.
I like her willingness, though, Mike, to be able to drive in to at least
take
that shot.
Bullseye.
Wow.
I have never seen a first half like this between 2 top 10 teams.
No.
This is something you might see in conference play when you're head and shoulders above somebody like Como Park and everyone else in the conference, but Wayzata Park Center, And it really comes down to field goal percentage, among other things.
Nice try by Tanea Griffin there.
That makes it a 30-point deficit. Wayzata, they're not done. Arnbeck missing the 3. Cox off balance. Wayzata really putting pressure, forcing Park Center to
really
speed
are.
things up. Schrader for 3. That's short. McKenzie fouled by Theisen. Just the first on Kallie. And Tanea Griffin looking a little winded.
Yeah. He's going to get a rest here, I think.
Well, the youth here at Wayzata and the seniors are putting on a show on this combined youth and senior night here in the West Metro suburb. Wayzata, the home of a lot of great basketball. Over in the boys, the Trojans have knocked off Hopkins the last couple of years in Section 6. That's the last foul to give for the Trojans with 6.8 on the clock.
Two quick fouls on Kallie Theisen there.
And she'll take a breather, but the way Wayzata is playing right now, I don't think you're worried about foul trouble here. Another turnover on the Pirates. This isn't easy for me to do, but I'm at a loss for words. McKenzie intercepts the inbound pass. Has time to get one more shot off. She does. Can't get the bounce. 49-19. Wayzata leads. I don't think you need to say much more.
No, you really can't, Mike. This is so unexpected. I think we expected, Park Center to keep this thing closer. They've only had a few transition opportunities in this first half thus far. And, that's their bread and butter, getting into transition, off the steals and getting those easy points. And they just haven't had very much of that in the first half.
And conversely, Wayzata getting a bunch of transition looks.
Yeah.
So, with that, we will take a break and bring you the second half. You're watching high school girls basketball. Wayzata leads Park Center 49-19. If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, Patreon is the place. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage. Welcome back to the Wayzata Show. Wayzata leading Park Center 49-19 at the half. Mike Peden alongside Mr. Mayak, Alex Nagel. First half numbers, Kallie Theisen with 12, Jenna Johnson and Annika Stewart with 10, Mara Braun with 9. Park Center led by 7 from Adalia McKenzie, but Wayzata, their transition game, their interior game, just about everything.
It's all
a step
working.
ahead, yes.
And, when you point out the scoring from the first half, the one thing that kind of sticks out in my mind is just how well balanced Wayzata really is. They don't really have one go-to person. They have several people that they can rely on.
And as we noted in the open, and speaking of those people, Kallie Theisen already has visited 10 countries.
Jeez.
She's a big traveler. Annika Stewart playing volleyball and softball, but focusing on basketball exclusively since then. Likes to rollerblade as well. Mimi Schrader, who's heading to Navy, is a triplet. She and Ella, of course, on the team. And there's a third one who I presume is a spiritual member of the Wayzata program. And Jasmine Smiley, who will be part of next year's crop of returning players, enjoys reading in her spare time. So now you know a little bit more about that Wayzata team that has really stepped it up a notch from a year ago. They were good last year, but as we noted, losing in a game you were supposed to win, that can light a fire underneath you.
Yeah.
And it's done just that for Wayzata.
I just think the experience and the fact that they've been together, really has paid dividends for them. They just looked so much more poised last Friday night against Hopkins than they did a year ago.
No seniors on last year's team. They all came back. Wow. From here, it looked like the ball went off of Griffin.
Yeah. But you got to have a few calls go your way, I guess.
Well, we also don't have their vantage point. And speaking of Park Center, after last year with the coaching change, Tanae Griffin in particular thought about changing schools because she was expecting to play under Chris Vanderhyde. Then he went back to the MIAC. But Tanae stuck it out because she wanted to play alongside her best friend, being Adalia McKenzie. And it's worked out for the Pirates. Lauren Frost with her first triple.
I tell you what, when Lauren Frost gets hot, she can drain them.
Well, and even if this game is out of reach, it's tough to come back from 30 down as Theisen feeds Stewart down low. Coaches hate talking about moral victories, but here's where Park Center can pick up a moral victory or two. If they can make this a game, work their way back, foul away from the ball on Park Center. But if you can get some plays to go your way, gives you some momentum for the remaining games. And Park Center after tonight should have some winnable ones. They'll play their second game with Maple Grove. We don't know when. Armstrong and Elk River are a couple of key games in conference play.
Elk River's a young team, but they're up and coming. They'll be a force next year for sure.
Mara Braun hitting the turnaround for the Trojans, who lead 53-22.
Mara Braun. So I was just saying Mara Braun, I was so impressed with her last Friday night against Hopkins. Just a young freshman playing in a big game situation, a lot of pressure. She did a great job.
Well, Wayzata, they'll try to get their meeting with Chaska rescheduled, but in the next couple of weeks, they'll go through the second rotation in the Lake Conference.
Now they changed it.
From up here, it looked like it was Wayzata ball.
Yeah.
On the inside or inbound feed, Theisen can't convert, one of the few miscues for Wayzata, and we mean few.
Oh my goodness.
And Lauren Frost.
What a move by Lauren Frost.
That was a nonchalant looking drive, but Lauren Frost converts. Like we said, Park Center, even if the win is out of reach, get some plays to go your way.
And here's
build that
another
confidence
turnover.
back up. How about the 5'3" Regulin going up against the 6'2" Kallie
Lauren
Theisen.
Frost has really raised the level of her game over last year, Mike. She really has.
Griffin for three. Swish.
Bam. Well, if you're Park Center and you're looking for a confidence builder, that's a good way to get it.
As we said, just get a few plays to go your way. Because the season's not over yet, but even if you win the second half, you can use those notes for the remaining set of games you have in the regular season, and you'll be ready should you meet Wayzata or Hopkins in state.
Yep.
Park Center looking to find their stroke from the outside, and Regulin knocking down her first three-pointer. Park Center with a little bit of a spark now. It's still a 23-point game. If you just joined us, Wayzata scored the first 23 points unanswered. Theisen was fouled. Will they give her the motion? They will indeed. And Theisen, who has struggled at the line, will knock this one down. I don't know of too many folks who have visited 10 countries at such a young age.
No, I certainly never did.
I think I visited more than 10 states, but certainly not 10 countries. 3-point play chance for Jenna Johnson. And going back to the first half, Wayzata crashing the boards. They're attentive. They're doing everything that a state championship contender should be doing.
Yep. Jenna Johnson, 6'2" sophomore. She seems to be kind of the forgotten element in this Wayzata attack.
And McKenzie will shoot a pair. Well, we won't be forgetting about her next year. Jenna Johnson will be one of the leaders after seniors like Theisen and Schrader graduate. And don't forget about Jasmine Smiley.
Yep. There's one area Park Center has to improve as they get closer and closer to section play, Mike. We got up that free throw shooting percentage.
McKenzie, 11 games with 30 or more, including 7 of the last 8. I'm not sure she'll get that mark tonight. McKenzie, entering this game, had not scored less than 17 points. McKenzie couldn't get the deflection, but Lauren Frost did. Griffin sees a lane, and she walked. And you mentioned the youth at Park Center. Much like Wayzata a year ago, there are no seniors on the Park Center roster as Mara Braun drains the runner. So this Park Center team, they'll have a great fulcrum to build on in these next couple of years.
Real bit easy too.
And that will be Annika Stewart with the finish. And Wayzata showcasing the balance they've displayed all season. You mentioned that close call with Hopkins. Paige Becker's dropped 43 in that one, and as talented and as deep as Wayzata is, Hopkins just as deep.
Yep.
That second meeting on the 22nd is going to be a tough ticket to find.
Oh, it will be.
I wouldn't be surprised if you end up here.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
McKenzie, her 15-footer is short. Jump ball, Wayzata with the arrow.
Jump ball, possession Wayzata.
Entry feed was denied. McKenzie speeds her way through, no good. Griffin is there for the cleanup. McKenzie, she's got quite the accelerator, doesn't she?
Look at Elia Raglan.
Raglan pulls up. McKenzie is there for the putback. Smiley back on the floor for the Trojans. As we noted earlier, not a lot of close games as Smiley is fouled. Smiley the bookworm. Have to imagine she was a fan of reading Rainbow growing up with all her I don't know if she is, but with her passion for reading, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Smiley, averaging 5.1 a game. Hasn't scored more than 11, but Smiley, a player you'll see more of next year, I presume. But back to Wayzata. Not a lot of close games. Stillwater, St. Michael Albertville, that one was close. And then a day after losing to Hopkins, they took their frustrations out of Lakeville North, beat them by 30 in the community clash up at St. Michael Albertville. The only thing that hasn't gone well tonight for Wayzata is free throws. 6 of 14. McKenzie looking to get some space. She finds Kayla Cox for the triple. Cox with her second tray. Theisen finds Smiley, 3-ball. Long. Cox can't save it. That length of Wayzata, tough to get around, but McKenzie stripping Theisen on the way up.
I tell you, she's so good at getting those strips.
Can't convert the baseline, Jay. Theisen looking for a passing option. They swing it out, and now Braun launches the three that's short. Chloe Sink with the board. Park Center led by Barb Metcalf in her second season, came over from North Dakota. Griffin drills the three.
And
Wayzata calling a timeout. They still have a comfortable margin, but Park Center now showing signs of life.
Well, and I thought coming into the second half, getting that deficit somewhere between 15 to 20 had to be the immediate goal for the Pirates and head coach Barb Metcalf to give them a little sense of confidence. And those threes are starting to drop.
11-11 left in the second half. And on this timeout, let's dive a little bit into this Park Center team. Well, Adalia McKenzie, her father is a church pastor, and Anessa Pertain, Tanae Griffin's mother, told me that's a big part of her life when your family runs a church. But she also enjoys Disney cartoons. And Tanae Griffin enjoys listening to music, and her mother told me she might be going after my job.
You better start looking out.
Because Griffin is starting to get into video photography. In fact, she's taking a sports marketing class right now at Park Center High School.
Good for her.
So
I wish I would have had classes like that when I was in high school.
I think she is coming for my job. She's coming for me. So Wayzata's still up by 20. They led by as much as 32. Park Center would need just about everything to go right to have a chance, and not what you want on the ATO sequence. A turnover on Jenna Johnson, and
Mike Schumacher looking for an explanation on that.
McKenzie sees a lane. Theisen stayed with her. And shooting free throws will be Stewart. Monica Stewart, the 6'3" junior.
Second personal for the Pirates, number 46.
It's a little unusual to have your senior night so early in February, but I imagine this was the best time to do it. With the doubleheaders in conference play, you don't have that opportunity
Exactly.
like you used to. On the plus side, though, as we noted in the first half, look at the crowds for some of those big matchups. Hopkins and Wayzata, both the boys and girls having outstanding seasons. Ragulin is fouled, will shoot 2.
You have to admire the diminutive Adalia Ragulin having the willingness to drive into traffic like that in the land of giants, draw the contact.
And they are giants at Wayzata. Ragulin averaging 10.6 a game. Park Center calling a timeout. They have 2 remaining, or 1 remaining after
I'm
this.
sure that after this one, head coach Barb Metcalf and her team will probably think what might have been had they not allowed that opening run blitz that Wayzata got on them.
And as we were saying earlier, even if you're not able to come back for the win, these types of matchups give you the framework you need to compete.
Yeah, exactly.
(63-43). And for Park Center, with all the youth and some of the players coming up, if they stay in 4A, and I believe they will, they have a chance to continue being a contender in Section 5. And who knows, maybe make their way back to state.
That Section 5 is going to be very, very interesting. Look at a team like Park Center, of course Roseville, which won it last year, and Centennial's out there looking. And never completely dismissed Champlin Park either.
Park Center applying pressure on the inbound, and it results in another steal by McKenzie. Griffin, a little too quick there. Wayzata escapes with no damage. 10 minutes to play. Stewart, entry feed is deflected, and we'll have a tie-up. Park Center with the arrow. Both teams will have a shakeup in conference next year. Irondale moving from the Northwest Suburban to the Suburban East. It seems like an odd fit.
Yeah.
As far as geography goes, well, the Suburban East, that's not going to help them out. As Park Center closing in, Ragulin knocks down another 3 to make it a 17-point game. And the Lake Conference adding 2 more teams, St. Michael, Albertville, and Buffalo. So STMA joining the conference, that's going to make Lake Conference basketball a lot more fun, especially for the girls.
Absolutely.
With the success the Knights have had up at St. Michael, Albertville.
It's so hard because of the height advantage that Wayzata has. It's so incredibly hard for Park Center to deny that entry pass.
It's not impossible. Remember, we were here a year ago when this matchup was at Park Center and came down to overtime. So Park Center, it's not like they are outclassed here, but a 23-0 run to start. That's hard to come back from. Monica Stewart drains another 3. She's up to 19. I mean, realistically, Park Center just got in too big of a hole to start with, and it's not impossible to come back from it, but
Tanea Griffin
even in the
nails
pros,
another one.
Well, Griffin, she's rebounded nicely after a rough start. And you like to see this fight out of Park Center. They may not get the win, but
this is a team that's always going to keep coming after you, Mike.
They will, and whatever happens, they say at least we made Wayzata work for it a little bit more. McKenzie had the layup, couldn't finish. Schrader with a bit of a push on Regulin. We play on. And McKenzie bumps Theisen. That will be a third. And Theisen will go to the line. 1-1. Some of the other pieces coming back for Wayzata next year. We mentioned Smiley, Mara Braun, a freshman, playing a similar role that Jenna Johnson did last year.
I'll tell you what, she's going to be a player to keep your eye on.
Another miss at the line. This is a really bizarre showing out of Kallie Theisen. Usually, she's money. And if this game were a bit closer, you might sweat a little bit.
Boom.
Today, Griffin feeling it from three-point range.
All of a sudden, that'll lead us down to 14 points, Mike.
A lot would have to happen, but Park Center, they trail by as much as 32. They've cut it to 14. As we were saying, win the second half. If nothing else, you get your confidence back. And who knows what else can happen. Wayzata, count it. Jenna Johnson.
Well, great move there by Jenna Johnson, getting that baseline. And Frost was too late. Try and cut it off.
So some of Wayzata's other wins, they beat Robbinsdale Cooper handily, the defending Class 3A champion. St. Michael Albertville, we mentioned them earlier. Another miss at the line. I've got a feeling, now there hasn't been a lot of practice as Griffin, her deep three does not drop. Rebound tipped and going into the hands of Regulin. I got a feeling at the next practice for Wayzata, Michael Schumacher's going to have them work on free throws.
Griffin wanted to follow, she didn't get it.
Wayzata streaks to the lane, and shooting free throws will be Mara Braun. So for all this talk about senior night, it's been Wayzata's younger contingent doing big things. Annika Stewart in particular. But that is the luxury of having so much depth. Braun knocks down both free throws. That's not something we've said often tonight. And so Braun going up to 15. Frost, no good. Griffin lunges for the rebound. Three, drops.
Chloe Sink.
Three-ball corner pocket for Chloe Sink. 15-point game.
What a save by Tanea Griffin down there. My goodness.
And you see the jubilation on Park Center's bench. Goes back to what I said earlier, is we've got a foul on Frost. The fact that you didn't fold up and forget about it.
That would have been easy to do.
A lot of teams might have considered that, but that's why you keep playing. Because if these two meet again, it wouldn't happen until state. I can't imagine you'll have a 23-0 run. As Jenna Johnson will add to her free throw totals.
Kayla Cox back in now for Park Center.
Jenna Johnson, season high 25, another split at the line. McKenzie, they will give her the shooting motion, and while Wayzata has length and agility, McKenzie has flat-out speed.
So, in these last 2 minutes, Mike, I would have to say that the math is favored Park Center here a little bit. There's another one.
Schrader and Stewart going back in for the Trojans. Adalia McKenzie, used to scoring in bunches. Her stroke did not drop in the first half. It's a 14-point game. Again, a lot would have to happen for Park Center to rally back here, but the fact that you cut a 32-point deficit by over half.
And there's another steal.
McKenzie reading the entry feed. She takes the feed herself,
Whoa.
and Annika Stewart says, right back at ya. And that draws an applause from the Wayzata faithful. They try to go backdoor, and Wayzata committed one of Tony Gear's cardinal sins.
You know, I've made this statement before, Mike, but if you're Wayzata, coming back from ahead can sometimes be
Coming back from ahead
can be tougher than coming back from behind.
I get what you're saying. It's not the most
There's Lauren
chronologically
Frost.
accurate phrase, but you're right. You build up such a big lead. Lauren Frost converts the runner, and now it's a 12-point game. Timeout, Wayzata, 5:30 to go. Park Center making it interesting, if nothing else.
Now you've got it down to 12 points, 5.5 left here. Can you get it down to maybe 8 points here in the next 2 minutes?
Well, and you're going to need stops.
Yep.
The other problem for Park Center, they're out of fouls to give. In fact, Wayzata in the double bonus. Kayla Cox has 4 fouls, so you're going to need steals or contested shots. Now, Park Center, we know they like to play for steals, get out in transition, so I would expect them to read some of those entry feeds, try to get a few tips or deflections in their direction. And for Wayzata, I would say inside penetration. That was your bread and butter in the first half, scoring in transition, but getting to the lane, scoring down low. They were feasting in the first half. If they can find a way to get some open looks down there, and we've seen that even in the second half, Park Center having a tough time keeping up there. Well, there's my 2 cents with my supposedly high basketball IQ.
Tony would be proud of us right now, I think.
Oh, Tony would have a thing or two to say. But let's see what happens. There's the inside penetration I was talking about.
Yep.
I can't believe it. I predicted a play. I'm one step closer to being Tony Romo.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
No friendly bounce for Lauren Frost. And there's a foul on the Pirates. That was Theisen who scored. I can't call out a flare screen to save my life, but I'll remember that moment where I called the play ahead of time.
Really.
I predicted the play.
We're going to have to start calling you Mr. Romo.
So shooting free throws will be Mara Braun, and she's had herself a game. Well, just about everyone has for Wayzata, at least 4 of the starting 5. Mimi Schrader, the only one not to score, but Mimi, that's her style. She doesn't score a lot of points, but when she does, they're usually in clutch time. Another split. Park Center almost coughed it up. Regulin, baseline J, is short. Now Chloe Sink fires one. 2 misses from the baseline. Bit of a delayed high-low, but it does result in free throws for Kallie Theisen.
I tell you, Kallie Theisen, when she gets the ball on the post, she does such a good job of moving her body.
I wouldn't say she's underrated. Doesn't get as much attention as maybe Sarah Scalia in the senior class, but she's no pushover. In South Dakota State, a hotbed for Minnesota talent, including a former Miss Basketball, Maddie Giebert. Eastview's all-time leading scorer. Tanae Griffin may have gotten bailed out there.
Yeah.
It looked like she was going to lose her footing. And Kallie Theisen is fouled out. So she'll finish the game with 17 on my book. Griffin at the line. And you have to commend Park Center. I know they will probably want to get that first half back. But you have to admire their resolve just to fight
absolutely.
in the second half.
It's been a valiant comeback attempt for sure.
And that's part of the learning process, the evolution, how you handle setbacks like that. Because it's unlikely Park Center will get a 23-0 deficit in postseason play, but you're going to draw on that, a five-second
call.
And you see Park Center, they're playing as if it were a brand new game. You know, lesser teams, maybe those who don't have the pedigree Park Center does, might have checked out, as we noted earlier. But the Pirates know, hey, we got to play until the clock hits 0 and show who we are. Wayzata did a lot of that tonight. Jump ball, Trojans with the arrow. You know, a combination of sloppy shooting on Park Center and brilliant shooting by Wayzata made the difference in this one.
And there's another steal.
They're going to call a foul on McKenzie, not McKenzie.
Well,
no, they're going to call it on Jenna Johnson.
Wow.
McKenzie got to the ball first. And Michael Schumacher getting an explanation.
Well, I tell you what, Mike, if Park Center can find a way here to at least get this thing back in single-digit range, not out of the realm of possibility here. There's going to be a lot of nervous people here in this Wayzata gymnasium.
Step back 3, bullseye. Lauren Frost feeling it.
How about that?
Timeout, Wayzata. The Pirates, 12-point game. Again, a lot would have to happen. And Kallie Theisen out of the game. But it's not smooth sailing for Park Center here.
I tell you what.
McKenzie has 4 fouls, so she'll have to keep an eye out on that with 3:38 to go.
3:38 doesn't seem like a lot of time, but from a Wayzata perspective, it's like an eternity.
And while we were talking about the valiant resolve of Park Center for Wayzata, they've been in this situation many times. I'm sure Michael Schumacher told his team at the half, we went on a big run, but that doesn't mean Park Center won't go on a counter run.
Yep.
And so this is a learning tool for them. As composed, as poised as they are, you know when you go up against a high caliber opponent like Hopkins last Friday, like Park Center tonight, just because you go up big early doesn't mean the other team won't have an answer.
Yep.
And as a Wayzata fan, this is not the half you were looking for. But you know, in order to win your section, get into state,
look out!
Park Center wins the scrum. If they score here,
Here's Frost.
no. And the Pirates can't save it. As I was going to say, in order to win your section and maybe win state, you are going to have some ugly bumps to get through. We're seeing that here, even though this game really hasn't been in doubt. Wayzata wins the dive for the ball. Schrader's going to beat Sink to the rim. Jenna Johnson there for the putback.
Chloe Sink wanted the foul there and didn't get it.
And like you said, for Park Center, they'll probably wonder if didn't have that 23-0 stomping by Wayzata, perhaps they could have won this one, or at least had a chance to. They'll call a late foul. Mara Braun, so free throws for Tanae Griffin. And Tanae, speaking with her mother earlier, like McKenzie, Tanae is someone who likes to score. And so one of the things she's had to learn is how you can contribute when you have another player as explosive as McKenzie. And I'd say Tanae has figured that out. And she's come up big tonight, scoring now 21 points. Her season high is 28. And with the camaraderie she has with McKenzie, I could see Griffin and McKenzie being a dynamic duo for the Pirates, much like Caleb McMorris was all those years ago. Or the senior core of Hayes, Simonette, and Schaub.
Those were some fun days at Park Center for sure.
They won 2 state titles in 3A. Griffin knocking down both free throws, but with 2 minutes to go, Wayzata should get out of here with the win. Park Center, they're going to have to play for a stop or a foul, and Sink commits one on Smiley. Well, we won't have overtime most likely, but this is something I didn't expect.
Well,
Park Center to be the better free throw team. Last year, it was the other way around, and that's how Wayzata got the win.
I mean,
Smiley missing the front end.
it's really been a game of runs here tonight. We saw the 23-0 blitz to open it up by Wayzata, and this great comeback attempt here by Park Center in this second half. I don't think anybody could have really scripted it this way, Mike.
Smiley leaks out. No good. Jenna Johnson, you got to like her hustle.
Yeah.
Couple of times Park Center, or I should say Wayzata, missed open layups. Jenna Johnson right there as the trailer. Park Center will use their final timeout. So with this, Wayzata, they'll snap Park Center's win streak. But I have a feeling if you were to do this all over again, it would be a lot closer than we thought it was going to be at halftime.
I'm guessing you wouldn't see a 23-0 opening run like we saw. But, you know, again, the dynamics with each game change, and they're really hard to predict.
That's why you play them. You never know how they're going to turn out. So the Trojans had to hang on a little bit, but they'll get out of here and enter that second rotation of late conference play. Again, they'll host Hopkins right here February 22nd in what should be another must-see game. And I've got a feeling the regulars at CCX will probably cover that 6-4A final if it is Hopkins and Wayzata who meet. It's looking that way. Johnson makes both free throws. She goes up to 19, matching Monica Stewart for the team high. And McKenzie's going to have a season low. And that'll be a foul on Regal in her third. And Mimi Schrader, who has not scored yet, will go to the line. As we noted earlier, Mimi Schrader heading to Navy, one of the Schrader triplets.
This is the first one.
Her nickname is Mims.
Mims, yeah.
Her favorite movie is The Heat, the Michael Mann movie that was kind of an offshoot of Miami Vice. Her favorite candy is Milk Duds. Her favorite quote, perhaps this is fitting for this game, "One half does not a game make." As Schrader splits at the line. Long two, does not drop for Chloe Sink. Mimi Schrader, by the way, even though she is a triplet, her brother Sam and her father were her biggest influences in the sport, as Jenna Johnson goes up and adds 2 more. And to finish up on Mimi Schrader, she would eat 5 Dum Dum suckers before every game and has stuck with it. That is her pregame ritual. She'll probably have some new ones at Navy next year. Griffin missing the 3-pointer. So, tonight we got a taste of the experience, the talent, and the poise of Wayzata, and we get a glimpse of the future that is to come for Park Center, and it's a bright one.
Yeah, it really is.
And we see a little bit of that out of Wayzata too. Jenna Johnson, Mara Braun having solid games.
Like I said, I think Mara Braun is definitely somebody you're going to want to keep your eye on here in the next couple of years. She's going to be a standout player for Wayzata.
So the comeback effort will come up short for the Pirates. And I'm sure for Wayzata, Michael Schumacher and the players will tell you, as Sink fouls out, she'll finish with 3. I'm sure Michael will tell you, even though we won big, it was not an easy win.
No.
And a pretty solid crowd for youth night, senior night, as Mara Braun adds to her totals. Three on the way from Frost, no good. Wayzata, 20 of 34. They'll probably look to bring that number up the next time they head to the court, but a win is a win is a win, right?
Exactly.
Park Center, again, probably wanted a do-over after a disastrous first half, but they made a fight of it, and they can use that to build themselves up for the remainder of their conference season in the Northwest Suburban and in section play.
And they'll have some tough ones coming up.
We mentioned earlier Armstrong and Elk River, but it's Wayzata winning the day. No overtime needed. 86-66 the final. Another balanced display by Wayzata. Park Center, tough first half. A resilient fight in the second half, but these two teams, we could see them in state in a few weeks.
I think for both of these teams, there's a lot to take from this contest and a lot to build on.
We'll come back, hopefully get a word with some of the Wayzata players before we wrap things up. This is high school girls basketball. The Trojans defeat the Pirates 86-66. If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, Patreon is the place. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage. And joining me are Jenna Johnson and Kallie Theisen. Jenna hit some clutch free throws late and went on a big 23-0 run. I don't know how often that happens at Wayzata this season, but how did you get on such a big jump?
Yeah, I think we just got stops on defense and were able to convert on the offensive end, and we just pushed the ball up the floor.
I imagine your coach told you about a potential for a counter run. Park Center did get it to within 12 and made you work for it a little bit. So in the second half, how did you hold them off and get that win in under your belt?
Yeah, well, obviously they started hitting a lot of threes. So I think last year we got a lot of experience with closing games, down the stretch and stuff. So we just came together at the end and were able to pull out another close one. So.
Now tonight was senior night and youth night, so I guess you represent the youth part of Wayzata, being the sophomore. But how has Wayzata built up their program over the last few years, and what role have you played to make them such a contender?
Well, I think our travel program is a big part of it. We were started really young, and we have great coaches, all the way through. So I think that's helped a lot. And we just get a lot of unselfish kids in the program, and we wanted to do the best for the team. So that's good.
Kallie, inside penetration was your strength tonight, and that's where Wayzata beat Park Center, especially in the first half. How were you able to find so much success in the interior?
Yeah, I think we work on that every day in practice. I think as a team, that's kind of our strength. So we're able to get it done and have a great start right away, so that really helped us out. Of
course, the big story, going back to last year, that loss in the section semifinals. How would you say that served as a motivator this season where you've been putting up a lot of big wins and you ended a 17-game win streak from Park Center tonight?
Yeah, definitely a huge motivator. Obviously, that wasn't a good feeling, and we want to have a different outcome this year. But really just take it game by game, practice by practice, just getting better, and, hopefully we'll have a different outcome this year.
Now, I was reading those senior night bios, and one of them involves doing a handshake with one of your teammates. So tell me, what would you make of the camaraderie, the friendship that you've built here at Wayzata with your fellow seniors and with younger brethren like Jenna over here?
Yeah, we're all just best friends. The seniors been playing with since I was in 3rd grade, so it's just kind of crazy. But everyone on the team is just so close, and it just makes games so fun.
And just quickly, while you guys came up short against Hopkins, I heard about the big crowd, over 4,000 people. What does that say about the growth of women's basketball in a week where we had National Girls and Women in Sports Day?
Yeah, I think some games are just bigger than, the outcome. It's just great for women's basketball to be able to see so many people at our games, and I hope we can keep on growing on that and getting bigger and bigger crowds every night.
Yeah, a couple years ago we didn't really have any fans. It was just our parents, and so now every game we have fans, and that's just really awesome to see and gives us a lot of motivation.
Well, you had quite a few tonight. If all the youth coming up to you for autographs is any indication, we'll let you get back to that. But before we do, you want to say hi to anybody?
My mom, my dad, and my grandma who couldn't make it tonight.
Yeah, hi Mom, hi Dad.
Well, congrats on the win, and nice to see you set an example for those youth, and we'll see if it pays off with a state tournament run. Long way to go, but well-fought win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenna Johnson and Kallie Theisen, that wraps it up here from Wayzata High School. For Alex Nagel, I'm Mike Peden. Thank you for watching.